as you can see, I've just hit a ball in the hazard. Now, what can I do if I hit a ball in the hazard? Well, first of all, it's going to depend on what kind of hazard it is. Yellow hazard, and a yellow marked hazard is what we call a water hazard. And if it's a water hazard, here are my options. Okay, now that I've seen where the ball went in, it splashed right there, I've deemed, and somebody in my group has deemed that I hit the ball over the hazard on this particular spot, okay? Now the rules of golf say that I look where the flag is, and I look where I cross the margin of the hazard, and I can go as far back as I want on that line to drop the ball. It's still just a one-shot penalty. Sometimes some youngsters think that I only get 2 club lengths, but if it's a yellow marked hazard, I can go as far back as I want. So why is that important to me? Because sometimes as you get close to a water hazard, there's a lot of slope, and if you drop it too close to the water hazard, you're hitting off a downslope with your hands above yourself and everything, and it's so easy to hit it back in again. So it's better to go back to where you have a flat lie and drop it to a club length that you know how to hit, and then you play it from there. So I've determined that this is a good place, and I've got a good lie here, so I'm just going to hold it out shoulder height. That's what I do. Look at the flag, and now the ball's in play. Uh-oh, I just hit another ball in the hazard. Now, what do I do from here? Well, first again, I have to look at what color hazard it is. And as you can see, you get close, this is a red marked hazard. In other words, red marked means we play it, it's a lateral hazard. This hazard plays alongside the hole. Instead of being one I actually have to hit across, this is one that if I hit it down the fairway, I don't have to hit across it. So we call this a lateral hazard. It's always marked in red. The red lines, the red stakes are going to tell me it's a lateral hazard. Now, in a lateral hazard, I have a bunch of options. Okay, I have 5 different options that I could use. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate all of them, but I will demonstrate 1 or 2. All right, the first option is I can go back to where I hit the last shot. If that's the best spot I've got, I can go back to where I hit the last shot. 1-shot penalty, and I go on. But most of the time, it's better to not lose the distance. So to come to where you cross the margin of the hazard. Now what do? I get 2 club lengths. Now I only have a wedge in my hand here, but I can use the longest club in my bag. So it could again be a driver. And if this is the point where my ball crossed the margin of the hazard going out into the pond, then I can take my 1 club length. Whenever it's a penalty a penalty drop, I get 2 club lengths. So there's 1 club length, 2 club lengths. Usually it's good to put a tee in the ground to show where I am. Then I can take out my golf ball. I'm out of the hazard, and I'm going to drop it. And as long as it doesn't go forward from where I originally was, then I'm in play. If it goes forward, the rules of golf say I have to drop it again. And if again it goes forward, okay, let me drop it again. Let's say it went forward. Okay, that time it didn't, so that ball is in play. Now, if I hit it in the hazard on my first shot, that's a 1-shot penalty. I would now be hitting my 3rd shot. All right, that's a second situation. All right, a third situation. Let's say I hit it inside the hazard, but not in the pond. I'm inside the red marking, but the ball is still where I can hit it. Okay? That's okay. I can hit that ball, and there's no penalty for hitting that ball. The rules of golf require me, though, to set up and hit it without actually touching the ground with my club before I hit the shot. Out here, I can touch it and take practice swings and hit the ground, but in a hazard, I have to hold my club above the ground, And before I hit it, I have to hold my position and then I can hit the shot. But I've got to hit without, except in the actual process of hitting the golf ball, I cannot ground the club before I hit it. Okay? So you've got one option. Two options is the drop. Three options is playing out of the hazard. A fourth option would be, under the rules of golf, I could actually go to the other side of the hazard if it was better for me, as long as I'm the same distance away and drop the same way I have here. Okay, it's pretty rare that's going to do any better for me, but I can do that. The last option is, just like in a yellow hazard, I could take that point and the flag, and I could go as far back as I want on that line, drop one, and hit it from there. So again, we got 5 options on a red marked hazard. 1, I can hit it from where I started. 2, I can drop 2 club lengths off the hazard. 3, if it's in the hazard and playable, I can play that. I just can't ground my club. 4, I can hit equidistant on the other side of the hazard. But like I said, rarely is that going to do me some good, and sometimes it's not even possible. But if it's an option, it's neat, you need to know it. And then the last option is, if it benefits me, take the flag and the point where I crossed, and again, like I do in a yellow hazard, I can go as far back as I want. 1 shot penalty. Okay, so in all of those instances, 4 out of 5, it's a 1 shot penalty. Only 1 do I get no penalty, and that's if the ball's in play, in the hazard. I just can't ground my club until I'm actually swinging at the golf ball. Okay, I've hit a ball in the hazard again, unfortunately. But this hazard is different than the previous one in that, as you can see, there's a lot of slope leading into this hazard. So how do I play it? Well, I get my regular 2 club lengths, and of course I could use my driver, but here I've just got my wedge, so I'm going to use my wedge. There's 1 club length. There's 2 club lengths. Now, the flag is over there, so I'm going to drop it and face the target, and when I drop it, we will play it from wherever it ends up. Okay, now the ball landed inside. I'm still in play. I'm not in the hazard. And I could play it like that if I want. So let's say I drop it once and it rolls across the line. I'm back in the hazard. Okay, I can pick it up. Again, take my 2 club lengths, drop it again, and let's say that this time it rolls back in the hazard again. Then I can pick the ball up and drop and place the ball. Actually place it as close as possible to where it first touched the ground. And from that place, of course, I had to take a penalty because I hit the ball in the water. But from that place, I'm hitting my next shot. If I hit it in there in 1, I'm laying 2, because that's a 1 penalty, and I'm hitting my 3rd shot toward the